Howdy, y'all. This here is the Christian Trucker, and this is my story, episode 7. This is one of the dumbest things that I ever did in my life, and it was really hurtful to people I love. When I was young, my folks took me and my brother to a monster truck show in Jackson, Mississippi. Back when Bigfoot was real big, you know. Anyway, the day after, see, me and two of my buddies, we had plans to go and meet a girl and her friends that had moved from our hometown over to Alabama. Well, we didn't have permission from our parents, number one. Number two, I was probably 13 in that area. And the guy that talked us into it, he had just turned 16. He shouldn't even been in our grade, I don't think. I don't know. Anyway, me and Jason, we were good friends. And all through high school, all through junior high and a lot of high school, we were tight. I mean, we did everything together because we were like brothers. He stayed the night with me, and then we got up the next morning and went and met Brad down by the bridge below our house, close to our church. And, he had this old blue Datsun, and that's what we took. And it was crappy, man. It was so crappy. We were going over to Alabama to see the girls that had moved over there. And so we just decided to take a joyride over there. And this old blue Datsun, it was a piece of junk, had bad brakes. We had somebody, whoever was in the middle, had to actually hold this truck in high gear so that we could make up some time. We almost wrecked like 3 or 4 times. There was this one time we were coming up to a red light, and Brad couldn't stop. There wasn't no way Brad could have stopped. And this lady was sitting at the red light, stopped, and she looked up in her rearview mirror, and I could see, I think I was in the middle at that time holding it in gear. I could see her eyes just swell up, and she gunned it and ran the red light. If she wouldn't have ran the red light, we would have hit her. And our little joyride would have been over right there, but luckily, she took off, and we stopped before we got in the intersection. And so we dodged that bullet and a few more times. But we made it all the way over there. Our mission was accomplished. We made it all the way over there. And we were sitting down eating spaghetti with the girls and their parent and her mom and their mom. I don't think there was no dad or anything in there because there was a couple other little small kids in there. Well, while we were eating spaghetti, we heard on the door, and a little kid come running through the trailer saying, "It's the sheriff! It's the sheriff!" Well, we all thought we were smart. Old Brad, he runs and tries to go out the back door, and a cop catches him by the nape of the neck in midair. Jason was a little smaller than me, so he runs and gets under the bed, and they drag him out, and the cops find me in the closet. Yep, in the closet. I was hiding in the closet like I was gonna really not get caught, but I never said I was a genius. So they took us all back, got us in the cop car, took us back, and put us in the jailhouse. Booked us as runaways. Luckily, they did not find the contraband that was on us. One of us was able to dump whatever it was in the commode. We were prepared for the apocalypse. I tell you, we had crackers and sardines and beer and wasn't supposed to say beer anyway. We had a little bit of everything. Yeah, but me and Jason, I didn't think we were going to get into all that, but we had met Brad in junior high, and old Brad, see, he knew how to have fun, and I guess that's what attracted us to him. And he was a bad apple. His life was a lot different than ours. He had done things more than we had at that point. I could tell you some stories that he told me, but I really don't think they would be appropriate. We will be talking about inappropriate things in the future, I'm sure, because there was a lot of that kind of stuff in my life. But, alright, this was the first time I was arrested. They took us into jail. They really didn't do a pat down and stuff, though. I mean, these were just country cops, and they thought we were just innocent kids. And if they would have only known the truth of the matter, they would have done a better job patting us down and everything. But instead of putting us in a cell, they made us sit out on this long bench. And they wouldn't let us go to sleep or anything, man. They just kept us out there in front of God and everybody in the light. And we were tired. I mean, we had had a big day and a big night before. And now that I look back, it was a horrible thing for me to do to my parents. After they had done something so nice for us, like taking us to a monster truck rally. But we make mistakes in life, and this is the biggest and dumbest of my life, I believe. I had it in my mind since Jason was staying with me. I pretty much had to go because things were going to be bad on me either way. And that's how I justified me going on this joyride that ended up me being booked as a runaway. I don't know if I really thought it through. I was just living in the moment, I reckon you could say. And then come to find out, well, our parents, they finally come and got us. Jason's parents and my parents rode in the same vehicle. We had a big old white Dodge van. It's got some stuff to go on in our story later on too, but there wasn't no seats in the back of this van. It had a bench along one side that my dad had built in it, because when they bought it, it was bought bare bones. It was like a just big old Dodge cargo van. Well, they come and got us in that, and us kids slept in the back once they finally come and got us. But Jason's parents automatically lit into him. My mama lit into me, but my dad wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't hardly even look at me. Because turns out my grandpa was the one that had found out where we went. He found out Brad's parents, and he talked to them, and they figured it all out that we were going over to see this girl in Alabama. Well, when we got over there, they knew where we were going to be at, and we never really had a chance to get away from anybody. And my dad, he was so upset, he didn't talk to me for weeks. Because they thought we had drowned. When we left from the house, I told y'all we had a creek down below the house. I lived on that creek. I'd stayed in that creek when I was young. And, well, they thought we had drowned because our footprints went down to the banks of the creek. Because that's where we had some of our little food stored and our beer and stuff stored down close to the creek. And, well, the cops, and they had people looking for us everywhere. But they couldn't find us, and finally my grandpa figured out that we had went over there to see them girls. Which he always knew me a little better than I like to admit. He always knew what was going through my head sometimes before I did. But for weeks my dad didn't talk to me. But I was grounded for months from my car. See, I never did take my Mustang. Like I said in one of my previous ones, I had a 1968 Mustang I got. And I didn't want to take it because it would have woke my parents up, number one. Number two, I didn't really figure I was going to be gone for as long as I was. and that I would be coming back to my car, and I wasn't going to let Brad drive my car. Anyway, it was kind of funny about my car. But for months I was grounded from car and everything. All I could do was work, school, and church. We lived close enough to church I could ride my bicycle. And occasionally, after Dad started talking to me, he would let me take my Mustang to the church. And that all kind of led up to me being able to go to the church camp. And I guess I really was able to work on my relationships with my friends that lived in the community and in the church, because I was grounded. I mean, I was put in my place from that little ordeal. And my brother, he was he was getting close to 18, and I think he had already decided to join the National Guard at this point. Well, he had a date with his future ex-wife, and whenever he never worried one bit about me being gone. And whenever he came in, Mom and Jason's mom and them were inside, and they told him that they found us, and he was like, "Okay, well, I'm going on my date." And he didn't never slack up. That's just wasn't his style. Him and her went on out, and he just, I don't know how to explain it, man. He was going to do what he was going to do, and he was glad that I was okay and all, but he never worried because he knew I wasn't going to do nothing to hurt myself. And that was just the type of thing, our relationship, I guess you could say. We both did our own things because he was so much older than me. We didn't do a whole lot of palling around at this time period, because I was just now starting to have a social life, because I had been playing with toys pretty much up to this point when I bought the car and everything. And I think he was a little jealous that I had been able to buy the car, because he had been driving a Buick and he had wrecked a Ford Ranger. He started off kind of rocky driving. I need to let my dad tell y'all a story about him and his Buick one day. But he went through a stage where he had the big 15-inch speakers in his car and all of that. He listened to some rap. Sir Mix-a-Lot was one of them. Buttermilk Biscuit. You ought to listen that song up. That's a song and a half. But as soon as he got out of that stage, he really started getting into his rock and roll and heavy metal. He was Bon Jovi, Metallica, not so much Iron Maiden. He did some Whitesnake, and on through the years he experimented with a lot of heavier metal and stuff. But he did do a little bit of country. But this is more about what I did and how it affected my life. And it was horrible, because to sit back and think about my mama and Jason's mama, Brad's family didn't care. I think they were more aggravated that they had to come get him from Alabama than anything. And the fact that they said we stole the truck, which we didn't know until after we were picked up by our parents. Brad's dad had pressed charges on Brad for stealing the truck, and we could have been considered accessories. So I guess we were lucky just being called runaways and not runaways and car thieves. I don't know. It's pretty awful now that I look back. But to think that our parents didn't know where we at, that hurt. And they thought we drowned. Anyway, that's it for today. God bless. See you on the next trip.